They performed with Blondie, launched America's first punk boutique, and started the world's first alternative beauty brand, Manic Panic. It's the legendary New York City punk fashion pioneer duo, Tish and Snooky Belomo. Next.
We're totally booked.
Rock and roll!
Well, I think I'll leave you to your reading.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Rock and roller!
We are totally booked.
Welcome back to Booked on Rock, the podcast for those about to read and rock. We have special guests on the show today, Tish and Snooky Belomo, the authors of Manic Panic, Living in Color, a rebellious guide to hair color and life. Welcome, Tish and Snooky.
Thank you. Thanks, sir.
This comes from your website. I'm going to read something from your website, manicpanic.com. Sisters and New York City natives, Tish and Snooky Belomo have been America's darlings of creative hair color and punk rock pioneers and tastemakers since their days in the original Blondie band lineup in the mid-'70s. Opening America's first punk boutique in 1977, they went on to start the world's first alternative beauty brand, Manic Panic, leading the hair color revolution and changing the concept of what beauty is forever. And you owe so much of your success to your mom, Estelle, right?
Yes, we do.
Yes, you write about how her creativity and resourcefulness inspired you throughout your life. So tell us where you're from and your mom, how influential she is.
Well, we're from New York, New York. We were born in Manhattan and moved around a lot after our father left. And we've lived in many boroughs. And upstate, and our mother was an artist. So I think, she thought of the name Manic Panic.
Yeah. And her, I think, creativity and resourcefulness was inspiration to us. She always encouraged us, and whatever we wanted to do, whatever it was, she was encouraging us. Even when we were in our punk rock band, the Sick Fox, the only thing she had to say was, "Oh, does it have to be so loud?"
My mother says the same thing.
Rock and roll, baby.
My mother says, "You worship the wrong gods." I said, "I'm sorry, Mom. Rock and roll is my religion." She was able to. What's really important is that she was able to take pretty much anything and create something out of it. There's something about a clothesline that what did she use for a clothesline?
Yeah, it was a string and two nails to put up a curtain. And
a curtain rod.
And it wasn't easy for someone at that time period to be a single mother. It's not like now where it's actually very acceptable and a lot more attention is given to single moms. And those days you were rejected by all the other mothers because they thought you'd be after their husband probably. And, you couldn't get a job that paid well like a man could. And, no one even wanted to rent to you.
Yeah, it was really shameful. I think back then women couldn't even have credit cards. I think that was like until the 70s. Women couldn't have credit cards. So, it was shameful when, our mother and grandparents would, talk to us. They'd say, well, if anyone asks you where your father is or what happened, why there's no father, say you don't know. That was our pat answer for any question. Have you had lunch yet? I don't know.
I don't know. What about her work ethic?
Oh, well, she never stopped working. She had to take care of two little kids by herself and, work, make dinner, get us dressed.
And even after we were grown, she didn't stop working. She founded the art therapy department at the School of Visual Arts. And she was the chairperson of the department. And she worked right up until she got too sick to work anymore, into her late 70s. She was a workaholic like us.
She lived long enough to see your success.
She did.
New York City in the 70s, different from New York City today, right? Rough place to live, but it was also, as you write, a magical haven for many. Talk about the early punk scene and how you end up getting your first big break, which was with the band Blondie.
Oh, it was so much fun. It was such a small community. Everybody knew each other, and we'd all be each other's audiences, go to each other's gigs, be each other's fans. And it was just so much fun. And even though it was really dangerous back then down in the East Village, it never fazed us.
No, we didn't even notice it really. I think we were just so comfortable and happy there. And it was the dawn of punk. It was like, we were transitioning from glam into punk. We were in a show across the street from CBGB called the Palm Casino Review. And let's see, Eric Emerson used to play at CBGB and with the Magic Tramps. And we would run over in between our act at the Bowery Lane Theater and do guest spots with him. And then Debbie and Chris came to see us because friends of ours, I think Tomato and Gorilla, had told them, oh, these girls are so fabulous and you need some, they were looking for some backup singers. So Chris and Debbie came and invited us to a rehearsal, and we went to the rehearsal and we were in the band. Some people, get the facts a little mixed up and say that we were in the Stilettos, but we were not in the original Stilettos. Later on, after we were in Blondie, we were in the Stilettos, but it was a later version of the Stilettos, and Debbie wasn't in that. She was already Blondie. We had been in Blondie first and then in the Stilettos.
Okay.
Debbie was in the Stilettos and then Blondie. So
to this day, you still keep in touch with Debbie and Chris Stein?
Yeah, we went to Chris's photo exhibit opening. I think that was in maybe September. And it was an exhibit of his photos of Clem Burke. It was really cool. And so it was good to see him.
It was good to see him, good to see the photos of Clem. And we actually helped, we were there auditioning when Clem first came. We were part of the hiring. We're part of the hiring committee there. And, we thought, wow, he's not only, really amazing drummer, but, he's good looking and,
He was perfect.
Had great shoes, and he had the attitude and everything. So he was just perfect.
Well, you mentioned that word attitude. I can imagine the energy in the room at these clubs, right? With all these artists, very sincere, very pure. They're not there to become rich and famous. This is just who they are. And it's that raw energy.
That's exactly right. And that's exactly how it was. I'm so glad we got to be there and be a part of it, because I don't think anything like that will ever happen again.
Yeah. And I think we were all kind of inspired by Iggy and the Stooges and stuff like that. We, before the punk scene, we still loved rock and roll, of course. And our taste was a little different from most of the people. We were living in the Bronx at the time. Our taste was a little bit different from most, because we liked Captain Beefheart and we liked Iggy and the Stooges and bands like that. And we got to see Iggy at the Electric Circus. And, that was raw power. It was way before raw power, but it was raw power. And it was inspirational to people like us and New York Dolls and all these, cool bands that were there before us were inspirational.
The stories of the time that you were in Blondie's band in the book are great. You crashed a party that had Rod Stewart and Robert Plant in it.
All these rock stars, and first they weren't letting us in, and we had driven up in Debbie's little car. All of us jammed into this little car, and at first they I think we were with Jerry Nolan, right?
Yeah, I think Jerry.
And they said, well, only Jerry is invited, not the rest of you. So they shut the door on us and left us outside. We were outside circling the house and peering in the window, seeing all these people. And then I think,
did we sneak in the back or something?
Somehow we got in. I think Debbie and Chris went first, and then we followed meekly behind them. And yeah, there were all these rock stars there. And it was just amazing.
And what was the manager of the New York Dolls said Blondie? That's a terrible name for a band, right?
Oh, yeah, I think that was that Malcolm McLaren.
Malcolm McLaren
said
that our name sucked and we should change it from
Yeah.
Blondie because we'd never make it with a name like Blondie.
What? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And look how that turned out.
No. And
Yeah.
by the way, in the early days of CBGB, like sometimes those clubs would be empty, we'd be like playing to like 5 people or something, it was like, which was great. It was like kind of having a, on-stage rehearsal.
Yeah.
And our own little clubhouse.
Yeah.
But then,
Debbie Harry, tell us a little bit about her. She's really looked at as that woman of strength and an inspiration to so many. And
She
what
is.
was she like? What was her personality like? It seemed like she was really fun to hang out with.
she was
fun.
really good natured. And
You guys used to go and pick out clothes, right? You go to various
Go
stores
to
and
thrift shops.
thrift shops.
We
Yeah.
never bought retail. We were like, all too poor for that. So we would go to thrift shops in Jersey because, she was from Jersey, and we'd go to the thrift shops she knew. And then we would go to the thrift shops in the Bronx, the ones we knew, and find some really silly stuff to wear. We'd always like, want to wear something new if we could. And we just find some really crazy things like, were those called jobbers?
jodhpurs. Yeah, we found all these jodhpurs. And so
I must still have them
Yeah,
somewhere.
I think I still have mine. But yeah, there were those riding breeches, and we all wore those. I think I even had the hat.
Oh,
The hat.
nice.
And we would just wear whatever we thought was funny and fun. And she was really good natured and went along with any wacky ideas we had, like, oh, let's throw in a tap dance.
Yeah, she was open to anything. Yeah.
She was, and she always has been. And I think that's the beauty of Debbie is that she's, open to anything and will try anything. So, and that's great because otherwise, you just kind of get stuck in the same hole that everyone else is in. And, she ventured out and found her own sound and found her own, place in the music industry, which is fantastic.
And as performers yourselves, did you sense when you first saw her that she had that presence on stage? She had that.
Yeah, she
certain
definitely had a presence, and she was of course gorgeous and had it way more together than we did. We were a little bit younger and more naive, I guess.
Was she like a big sister to be able to kind of protect you a little bit? Like look out for these
I
guys.
don't think any of us needed protecting.
You were just fine on your own.
No, we were okay. We didn't need protecting, but she, she was, as Snooky said, real easygoing, and we kind of all just went. We're all good natured, and we all just went with the flow.
Hey guys, we'll get back to the show, but first I want to tell you about an exclusive deal for Booked on Rock listeners. Get 15% off any purchase at oldglory.com. Over 300,000 officially licensed items covering music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture. Merchandise featuring legendary music artists like Bob Marley, The Beatles, Grateful Dead, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, and many, many more. Go to oldglory.com. Make sure to use the promo code BookedOnRock. Also find a link in this episode's show notes, or just go to bookedonrock.com and click on My Deals. You played CBGB and Max's Kansas City, 2 legendary clubs. For those who've never been there, what's the atmosphere like in those clubs in those days?
It looked like you'd be walking into a fog, but it was cigarette smoke, and
Right.
smelled like beer and cigarettes, and it was down and dirty, and if you could avoid going to the bathroom, you would avoid it.
A little like a Fellini movie with all these interesting characters.
Oh, I'm sure.
lots of different ages too. It wasn't just, youngsters. It was all ages.
Really?
Cool and interesting.
The same with Max's. That was another
Mhm.
club that, you'd have way before anybody talked about club kids, which was a term invented, I guess, in the late 80s, early 90s,
yeah.
somewhere around there. There were club kids back then. Like, I remember going there underage to Max's, and there was somebody even younger than us, like Charles, and he would go to Max's, and he was 15 or something. And then there'd be other people who were way older than us. At the time, they seemed way older.
Yeah.
Like Lee Childers and people like that. There was a
Warhol
range.
crowd was
The
at
Warhol crowd,
Max's.
yeah.
Yeah. What other clubs did you really like going to? Those are the two big ones, but
There was the 82 Club,
Okay.
which was an after-hours club on Second Avenue and maybe around
It-
Second Street.
Yeah, and it was an old like drag club that our mother actually went to when all of our father's Argentine friends came in.
And it was like a speakeasy. You went down this long flight of stairs. Wasn't on street level. It was downstairs. And it was sort of like, the movie Cabaret. It was
oh, it's so cool.
Like little booths and a stage, and sometimes it would get, since it was an after hours club, it would get raided, and you'd have to go out the back door and through the building, and there were two people at the door, Tommy and Butch, who were women, but they looked exactly like men. And then they'd have the drag shows with the men that looked like women. And,
in Wayne County at the time would play there a lot.
yeah, because they didn't really do the drag shows anymore when they turned it into a rock and roll club. But, it was typical to see Jane play there and the dolls and stuff.
What is it now? What became of it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We should buy it.
Yeah.
Might be an apartment or something.
Yeah, it's probably somebody's apartment. It was a
It was
cool
so
place.
cool. It was so cool.
You would run into the weirdest people there. Like
Jay
Michael J.
Pollard when was there, and he just took a shine to us and latched on to us for the night, and we took him up to our Bronx apartment.
And then took him out drinking in the Irish bars because they were open by the time we finished clubbing. The Irish bars had opened and people were going to work, and it was fun.
Yeah, man, I can imagine. Now, this is what, mid to late 70s?
Yeah.
Early, okay, mid to late 70s. Yeah.
Yeah.
At that time, fashion and beauty trends were kind of morphing somewhere between like glam and punk, right? A lot of experimentation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you were like transitioning from your platform shoes into spike-heeled, pointy-toed stilettos and stuff, and the stripper shoes, those, what do you call them? Springolators and things like that.
Yeah.
And from glam, a little more greaser, kind of rebel without a cause for the guys. They kind of looked greasy and cool. And, the girls had teased hair, big teased hair and stuff. It was, it was kind of cool. It was like, it wasn't the way it was in England where it was so defined. It was more of a melting pot of fashion. Like there would be some people who would, dress mod, and there were some people who would dress greasy, and some people
Rockabilly.
Rockabilly. Yeah, it was all over the place. But, everybody had their own look, and everybody was like, I don't know. It was fun. It was a lot of talent, like with the, people. Anya Phillips was, always looked great and did some stuff for Debbie. She did some of her outfits, and there was Natasha, and there was, of course, us, So there were designers on the scene.
Let's get to the store now. When you opened the store up, you did mention your mom is behind that name Manic Panic. So what led you to opening your own store? And then what are the origins of the name Manic Panic?
Well, when we'd be out on the town every night, people loved our style and wanted to know where they could buy whatever it was we were wearing. And we thought, oh, well, let's open a store and sell our look and sell what we like. And it didn't occur to us. We had no business training. We just thought we would do it. And it was easy back then, easier than I think it is today to like rent a storefront. It was only $250 a month. And,
Wow.
But like we could barely scrape that together every month. But somehow we managed because we were living at home with our mother and didn't have a lot of overhead. And we just put every penny we made back into the business. And it gradually took off. And people started hearing about it. We got so much press because it was the first punk store in America. So like every newspaper and magazine and TV station covered our grand opening. And yeah, we had hardly anything to sell.
How amazing was that, though? I mean,
It was amazing. And then like
that kind of attention, that kind of publicity,
yeah,
I know.
it's hard to come by.
all over the world because it was the first punk store in America.
And the location, by the way, was for the first store?
33 St. Mark's Place. And we even had like Italian Vogue came and borrowed a bunch of shirts from us, t-shirts, and did a whole shoot with them. And, had all like a bunch of the Warhol characters and Andy Warhol himself. And they were all wearing our t-shirts that we had made. And it was so cool. We got such great PR.
Yeah. And the name Manic Panic, what's the story behind that?
Our mother worked, she was originally a greeting card and book designer, artist. And then after a while, she couldn't really make enough money to support us on that. So she went back to school and became an occupational therapist and then an art therapist in the psychiatric hospitals. And she said sometimes the patients would go into a manic panic. So she thought that would be a great name for our store because we couldn't think of anything.
Oh, it's
And she
perfect.
was right.
Yeah, it's
It's a great
perfect. Perfect.
It is.
There's a quote in the book from Edgar Allan Poe. There is no exquisite beauty without some strangeness in the proportion. What a quote. Tell us about your stylistic approach, what you were looking for at that time, what you're looking for when designing the perfect look for a band as far as clothing and hairstyle.
I think, one of the things that I find, I guess, a little bit strange to me is, why anyone would need anyone to tell them what to wear. Because, I think all my life I've known what to wear. And, I remember my mother having to pay me money to put on a pair of brown pants because I hated them so much. And,
But some people do need a little guide.
yeah, it's really hard for us to like conceive that you would need that because everybody is so individual and usually they find their look just the way like Richard Hell, with his really spiky bad haircut because he probably couldn't afford to go to the barber and just cut it off, and the t-shirts that were practically rotting on people's backs because they couldn't afford a new one or whatever. Everything kind of became style. But we were one of the few stores that actually were nice to people. And if somebody came in and needed our help, we would definitely help them. But it really helps to see the band and hear the music to know what somebody should look like on stage. I guess that's my opinion.
and encourage them to just be themselves and find their own
Mhm.
look, because most people
Yeah.
do follow trends.
Help.
Most people feel safe and secure by dressing up like everybody else.
But it many times, not everyone can see through it, but like, I'm not going to mention any names, but like certain bands I would look at and I would say, that is so wrong. Like, somebody who's just not like, I don't know, like a certain type of person, like, let's say maybe not a weak character, but somebody with, who isn't like a strong character, let's say. And then they're wearing like all the spiked bracelets or, this and that. And they just kind of stinks. It doesn't look right.
Or here's an example: when you had all the hair metal bands, and then we turned into the 90s, the grunge scene, and all of a sudden you're seeing some of these guys that all of a sudden look like a grunge rocker. And you're just thinking, that's not you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not who you are.
Keep your mascara.
Right. But yeah, but there is there a fear of people are afraid to dress the way they want to dress because they're afraid they might, I don't know, maybe they won't be accepted or whatever, because that seems to be the case. And then, but if you do that, and this is who you are, you end up setting trends rather than following.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, I think if you're true to yourself, you'll find your look, and it might not be that exciting or whatever, but but I do agree that like where I will tell people what to do is like if somebody would come into our store and say, does this look good? I might say no and hand them something else, because like, if if something doesn't look good on you, you shouldn't wear it. And I would never encourage anyone to wear something that it didn't flatter them. And, that I think some people really can't see that. They can't see that they're wearing something that isn't flattering. Like if, you have like, arms that are very flabby or whatever, you don't want to wear short sleeves. You want to wear longer sleeves or something, that covers them. Just little basics, or like, somebody with different proportions. People with different proportions look good in different things. So I would always encourage people to, look as good as they can, and, help them, decide on hair colors and cosmetics, and, because, we learned so much by being in the Palm Casino Review and other shows. We had, there were a lot of drag queens, they were called back then, in the Palm Casino Review. And they taught us so much about makeup and hair and everything, that we learned a lot from them. And we learned a lot from Debbie. She was really good at her makeup and hair. And then we passed it on to our customers who might need help, like somebody would pick out a lipstick and, that would just totally not go with their skin tone or their, their look, or, maybe they take a really dark color and they have really tiny lips. And if that's what they're going for, then that's okay. But, if they're not sure, we would help them with their looks.
Which is what the book is, part your story, but also it's a guide it's a rebellious guide to hair color and life, right? Yeah. Tish and Snooky Belomo, the authors of Manic Panic, Living in Color, a rebellious guide to hair color and life. All right, talk about the artists and the bands who came into the store when it opened up. Members of the Ramones, Patti Smith dropped by, B-52s, Mick Jagger and Jerry Hall stopped by.
Everybody came there, and people you would never expect, like Tony Curtis,
right,
came to our store, and Cher, and
Paul Simon with what's her name?
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher, yeah.
The Saturday Night Live cast members were there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they loved us. Would invite us to parties and stuff. And the sign was in one of the Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
Yeah.
Season, the 1980 season.
That sounds right.
Sounds right.
Mhm.
Did you know about that? Or is this once
No.
again just publicity that's
till-
coming?
Not till we're sitting there watching and went, what?
But all these things that just seem to like happen, and it seemed like, yeah, that makes sense. That's cool. We just sort of took it in stride, and we never like were pushing to get like our store on, in the opening credits of Saturday Night Live. But then when it was, we thought, oh yeah,
But
we
that's
should
what's
keep this
amazing.
there.
So many business owners they're begging for that type of
Oh,
publicity.
I know.
So when you got all this publicity, the business is starting to pick up. Was it becoming to the point where it was like, whoa, this is getting crazy? Like, did you have a staff? I mean, or was it it must have gotten pretty busy.
Yeah,
we did, and we realized, oh my God, this is really amazing.
Serious, yeah.
And serious.
We need some help here.
Yeah.
And we still didn't have a cash register. We had a Louis Sherry box.
Wow.
An old
Box.
candy box that we
Mhm.
have to this day.
We still have it, yeah. And we had, I think Howie Pyro was our first employee. And I think we paid him about, I think it was $6 a day.
Yeah, and he was like 14 or something. I think he was, going to school, and he got out of school by saying, he was working in retail, and so he got school credit for working at our store. But I mean, we could barely scrape together the $6 to pay him.
And there were three of us, 'cause we had
Yeah.
a partner at the time, our partner Gina. And between the three of us, it's $2 each.
But sometimes we wouldn't make a penny all day. Sometimes not one person came in the store. And sometimes we'd make 50 cents if we stole like a button. And,
When did the money start coming in?
After about maybe a year and a half, something like that.
after a few months, we had been getting all this publicity. So people started coming, and then we could invest more and more in inventory. And it just snowballed. And then, in the 80s, it was really taking off. And then in the 90s, and we've always been just like trying to keep up.
Right.
Learning a new job every day.
To this day, we're still learning.
Really? Still learning. For example.
Well, what with the AI and
Oh, yes. Yes.
oh my God.
All that advertising, the business side of things, right? I mean, that kind of probably became a little overwhelming. Bookkeeping and all these things, right? That you had to start.
Yes. You should see our original books.
Tax season.
So
Is tax
funny.
season like, did you dread tax season? Like, oh no.
Oh, we still do.
We still do. We
Yeah.
can't stand it. I can't.
Overwhelming, and that the money part and the numbers part has never been our forte.
Not our strongest.
Yeah, we're good at like making money, but we're not so good at like the accounting.
I'm
And
with you.
the-
I'm the same way.
But
Yeah.
hire people. Other people are really good at that. So
Right.
to
Well,
hire people that are better than you at certain things. And I think, we're good at the creative end and, maybe the social media and
that's
parts of
the other thing. Social media is the other, but hiring people that you can trust, right? I mean, that's the other
Yeah.
thing.
And we've
Yeah.
made such terrible mistakes trusting the wrong people. We've, we've got some great people now, but
We
it
do.
hasn't always been that way.
Yeah, but that's the only way you learn.
Yeah. Oh, we learned
Oh my
the
God.
hard
Yeah, we're-
way.
really old, but we're still learning.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you have to hire people who get it. They have to be people who get it and understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. If they don't, then it's just futile. It's like, we have some people now who really get it. They get us. And the ones that have worked out the best usually are, even if they're in bookkeeping or whatever, they're creative. So you want to have
So they get
Beautiful.
it. Right.
Yeah, they get it.
Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out the Booked on Rock podcast. If you've just found the podcast, welcome. If you've been listening, thank you so much for your support. And make sure you tell a friend, a family member, share on social media, and let people know about Booked on Rock. And if you do like the podcast, make sure you subscribe, give a 5-star review wherever you listen to the Booked on Rock podcast. We're on Amazon, Apple, iHeart, Spotify, Spreaker, TuneIn, and on YouTube Music. You can check out the full episodes on video, along with video highlights from episodes on the Booked on Rock YouTube channel. Find it at Booked on Rock. Thanks again for listening. Now back to the show. You mentioned some of these names: Bill Murray, Paul Simon, Meryl Streep, Tony Curtis. You mentioned the Blues Brothers. John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd would pull up in the Bluesmobile, Springsteen, Annie Lennox, Carrie Fisher. And you did mention Cher. Now, when she came into the store, you didn't recognize her? You didn't know it was her?
I didn't even look up because it was such a hot day in the middle of summer and we had no air conditioning and I was just sitting there by myself. No one was coming in. And then this, limo pulls up and this woman dressed to the nines, the hair and the thigh-high boots and miniskirt, walks in and I'm thinking, oh God, who is this chick from New Jersey all dressed up to go shopping on a day like this?
Well, her limo had air conditioning, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I didn't even get up. And then she asked me a question and I recognized the voice.
The voice, right. Yeah.
I snapped to attention and, helped her with, she bought some makeup and one of Tish's original dress designs and a Sick Fucks t-shirt.
Nice.
Like a giant sized one. And I said, oh, were you a fan of the band? And she said, oh, I just like the t-shirt.
That's so cool. Now, is it just as interesting as the famous people were the interesting characters off the street? The East Village had some pretty interesting people, like the guy that liked to roll up into a rug. Please.
Oh my God.
Tell us about this guy.
He's still around.
He's still at it.
Some people who worked for us said that they started telling us about this weird guy who's like rolled up in a carpet. And we said, is his name Kevin?
And it was.
And he liked to roll up into a rug and then
now he rolls up into a carpet, but I think it's because
he needs more cushioning. So for his older bones, he needs a carpet to protect him. But in our day, there was no carpet needed.
Flat on the floor. We come in and I don't know whether he paid some of the people who worked for us or they just, whatever.
He told them that he was doing a project for his acting class and he had to be an inanimate object. So he chose to be a floor and could he just lie on the floor and, people would walk on him. And,
oh my God.
So
wow.
Tish walked in and there's one of our employees perched on this guy's back and she's like tagging the clothes on the rack.
It's performance art.
It was.
Yes.
You a second. What is he doing here? He's studying acting. I said,
Oh my God.
There was a guy who used to come in and ask to try on the same shoe over and over, and he would never buy it.
It was a pair of giant size black patent leather Mary Janes with a little strap, little flats, like a little girl would wear. And he'd try them on like at least once a week.
And we were like, going crazy. But, we were so polite. We would bring him the shoe and let him try it on.
Because we only had one of each pair of shoes out because otherwise people would walk out with the pair.
Yeah, they would steal them.
So we only had one out. So then we have to go and find the other shoe, which was a big production. And we'd come out with the other shoe and he'd try them on and prance around and then not buy them.
I'm wondering if he had some kind of a shoe fetish, right?
And then one time, I think I had left my boyfriend at the time to work at the store because we had to go someplace. And he came in, and the guy came in and asked for the shoe. And my boyfriend knew the whole story and everything. He says, I'll take it down for you. I'll let you try on the shoe, but you got to buy them. We're sick of this. You're not, if I bring it down, you're going to buy it, right? And he bought the shoes.
He bought the shoes. Oh my God.
I think they were only $9.99, but he finally was
He sprung for them.
Wow.
guilted into buying them.
Well, let's talk about Cyndi Lauper. She gave Manic Panic huge exposure. When did you first meet Cyndi, and tell us about your relationship with her?
We were
Irving
opening
Plaza.
for her at Irving Plaza, and
But she was opening too, because it wasn't her night. It was we were both opening for, it was either Madness or Specials or some kind of.
So she hadn't blown up yet. She hadn't gotten famous yet.
Yeah, she was still in Blue Angel,
Okay.
I think,
was
right?
it? No.
Yeah, because she gave us the album.
Oh,
I think she was still in Blue Angel, and so it was like,
so she came in and introduced herself into our dressing room and said she heard so much about us, and she was so happy to meet us.
and we had a band called the Pinups at the time,
Yeah.
and we really sucked that night. We were so bad.
Oh,
Really?
so embarrassing.
Yeah.
She was great. And then, she started coming in the store, and she was always so nice, and started experimenting with the hair color, because she was blonde when we met her, and then she has been practically every shade. And
Yeah, we remember her saying, "Oh, I wish I could do that to my hair." And we said, "Well, you can. And she finally did it. And it really, I think it really helped her career.
Oh, absolutely. That she had the look. She had the look of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Her
She's
perfect
in
timing with
our
MTV,
business.
the videos and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she mentioned us, in interviews and stuff like that, So, she's done so much for us over the years. She really has.
And still to this day, if she ever needs a hair color, we'll deliver.
What led to the original location closing in 1989? And then how did that lead to the new venture in the 90s?
Our landlord, not renewing our lease. There's still to this day no commercial rent protection. And it's such a disgrace that still in this day and age, I was watching a show about these businesses in Brooklyn, these like old Italian guys. And, they're talking about no commercial rent protection, and it's so hard to run a small business. And it was so hard back then. And it's really hard when they can quadruple your rent. And, if you don't want to pay it, you get kicked out. So when our lease was up, our new landlord, who had just bought the building, said, we're not renewing your lease and you have 2 weeks to get out. And so we'd been there 12 years and we were in denial that we'd ever have to leave. So we were so traumatized. We hadn't even been looking for spaces or anything. So we just closed up shop and
Put everything in storage.
and then moved our wholesale business into my boyfriend at the time, now he's my husband, into his studio apartment.
Which was really tiny, and it was what, 3 or 4 flights up?
Yeah, and it was like maybe 350 square feet or something. And we had hair color piled up to the ceiling, and we'd just be there
And it was
packing the orders and taking the orders on the phone and invoicing and packing and then driving the orders up to UPS at the end of the day.
But it was really lucky that we started doing a little bit of wholesale while we were, still in our retail space. Because if we hadn't had the wholesale, we would have been kind of screwed.
Yeah, and we were
we'd be-
forced to focus on the wholesale. And it had been, we were doing it, but then when we weren't in the retail store chasing shoplifters down the street, we were, forced to focus on wholesale. It was the best thing that ever happened to us. And then we started doing trade shows, and then we moved back onto St. Mark's Place into a little space. And then
Because we were promised, our landlord said, because I had said to him, we were on like the ground floor. Actually, we were a couple of steps down, but it was considered like, street level basically. And originally the building had a stairway going up, and the two first apartments were storefronts. So I said to him, I said, why don't you just, make the two apartments there that are empty back into storefronts and put the stairway back up.
and give us one of the storefronts.
We'll go
the apartments
upstairs.
as our store, and then maybe we could afford the rent.
So he figured out a rent. We said, yeah, that sounds great. We said, well, it's going to take about 3 months, so he put all our stuff in storage. And then 3 months went by, 6 months went by, 9 months, like 12 months, still wasn't ready. And then when it was finally ready, he said, oh, I want more money.
It's not going to be the rent, I promise. It's going to be twice that.
So
We
we
said,
said,
never mind.
Never mind, we waited and waited.
The 90s was a good decade then.
Yeah. We had moved. We were in another space on St. Mark's Place, a basement. And then when that lease was up, we moved to 9th Street, which was a basement, but it was like a cool basement. It was the original location of La Mama Theater. And Ellen Stewart, the original La Mama, came down there. I said, this was my original space. And then after that, it was Jimi Hendrix's crash pad when he was in town. I think his girlfriend lived down there.
Yeah, it was his girlfriend's apartment. So
And so it had a good vibe.
Oh, that's cool.
And but then we really needed more space because the wholesale started to really take off. So we found a really great loft in Tribeca and moved there in like 95.
but we only had what was it, a 3 or 5 year lease, something
It was
really
a 5-year
short.
lease there. And then when
And flew by.
this was up, they didn't want to renew our lease. They wanted architects, and they didn't want shipping going on.
Had changed so much from when we moved
They
in.
wanted lawyers and architects. They didn't want our kind anymore. So then we moved to Long Island City, Queens.
Was that in the early 2000s?
Yeah.
Find the Booked on Rock website at bookedonrock.com. There you can find all the back episodes of the show, the latest episode in video and audio, links to all of the platforms where you can listen to the podcast, plus all the social media platforms. We're on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. Also, check out the Booked on Rock blog, find your local independent bookstore, find out all the latest hot rock book releases, and before you go, check out the Booked on Rock online store. Pick up some Booked on Rock merch. It's all at bookedonrock.com. To be great in business, I would think adapting to change is essential. And so we get into the new millennium and new location, but also we mentioned it. Social media is now coming into play. Talk about the move and then the adjustments that you have to make as you get into the new millennium, 2000s, right? There's so many avenues to promote.
I think we weren't prepared for the new way of working and selling, which, was the internet. Everybody was like some companies were way more, friendly with all that and knew what they were doing and were selling online. And we were kind of behind because we were, first of all, we're moving all the time and didn't have time to keep up with these kind of things. And, we didn't have the right advice from people. We had an advisor who was telling us not to, try to sell internationally, which was our dream. And, to just stick with, the wholesale and, the United States and, be in stores and not, really, we should have had an online presence from the beginning, but we weren't advised right. And, we were older, so we weren't native to all that.
Yeah, I totally understand. And now it's essential, it's like you have to post almost daily if you can, just to remind people that you're out there. And there are so many entry points now to, it's like, I look at it as like a doorway. You got to put that door in as many places as you can and open up people to your business. So it's not just print media or television or radio. And then it becomes social media, and it's YouTube, and it's, who knows what it's going to be in 10 years, but you got to keep up with it. Otherwise you fall behind.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you have somebody designated to do all the social media for you?
Now we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we have, and we've had people for years, but I think the new team is the dream team, and they're, really doing well.
2010s. That's a time when flashy hair color became more mainstream, right?
Mm-hmm.
It totally did. It's been like inching its way in, but by the 2010s, it was really going mainstream. It's just unbelievable. It's just a dream come true that the style and colors that we've always loved have become so much more accepted and worn by so many people all over the world.
Right. Katy Perry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? And you mentioned Rihanna. Yes.
Dennis Rodman. I mean,
right. Dennis Rodman.
In all different, parts of life, all different, like, not just musicians, but all, people in sports. I see people, in the Olympics with colored hair, and it's just amazing. And what's really interesting to me and wonderful to see is our older people, like with white hair, people whose hair have, if your hair has gone white, it's so much easier to color it.
It's
with
Manic palette.
because Manic
The hair
Panic
color.
works. Manic Panic works really well on natural white or gray hair. And, I would say ours works better than any other brand on gray or white hair. And, we're living examples of what you can do and, what you can look like at an older age. And, we're always aging disgracefully and proud of it.
We've got
Yes.
a whole collection of colors called the Aging Disgracefully Collection
Oh, I love it.
that works really well over gray or white hair.
And the best place to go is manicpanic.com, the best place for people to go to find the products. And
The best.
I mean, you can find everything because, various stores might sell various colors or products, but on the Manic Panic site, you could get everything and everything and anything.
yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on the current trends as we head into 2026, as far as hairstyles and clothing with some of the bigger artists out there today? What do you like? What would you change, if anything?
I don't know. I don't think it changed anything. What I do see, though, is such a variation in looks and in hair and everything. It just seems like it's really hard to pinpoint trends like it used to be.
Really?
It used to be so easy, like.
Why do you think that is?
I think people are more individual now.
Yeah.
Well, what was disturbing to me was when Pantone came out with their color of the year this year, and it's white, which is the absence of color. And that's the color of the year. It's like some kind of I forget what the name of it is, but it's white. Maybe some kind of off-white or something, but it's white. And how can that be the color of the year? And that's kind of boring to me. Nothing wrong with white, but I prefer color.
Yeah, we're in the color business, so white doesn't seem to really, I don't know. It's great. White is nice, but you need some color.
The Booked on Rock podcast is part of the Boneless Podcasting Network. If you're a fan of classic rock and classic film like I am, go to boneless.lovable.app to find over 20 great shows there. That's boneless.lovable.app or just go to thebookedonrock.com, click on the logo. It'll take you right to the Boneless Podcasting Network. It is what you want it to be. Listen with confidence. Along with the great stories behind the history of the story I mentioned, the book is also a guide for everyone of all ages to find their unique color and style. So I guess we'll finish with what's the best advice you would give to someone who's right now listening to this or watching this and they want to make a change.
Well,
Start
live
with your
fast and dye your hair. And
I think there's so many ways to go about it, and it's so individual at this point with somebody with really super dark hair. Super dark hair is really in general very hard to lighten. So some people might want to start with just lightening maybe the underneath, and that way if they go to work, they could put their hair down on top of it, and then if they go out, they can
Okay,
show it off. So
I think it's called
like that.
peekaboo.
Yeah, or is it the
No.
also just follow what your inner voice is telling you. Don't be afraid
Unleash
to
your
do it.
inner
Right.
rainbow
Yeah.
and do what you want, do what you feel, and fuck anybody that doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Nice. No, I think it is. It's interesting. I just saw an article about the it was they had a picture of an actor in his late 40s back in the 1950s and an actor today in his late 40s, and we look so much younger. And I think age really doesn't matter anymore in terms of just be who you want to be and look how you want to look. There's no expectations
Exactly.
anymore, I don't think. I guess that's where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I think in the older days, people thought they had to grow into a certain look, and I don't think it applies anymore. I'm old and I'm wearing a shut up shirt.
Yes.
So, I think people are realizing more that you have to enjoy yourself at every age and accept yourself at every age, and
there should be no limits and no limitation to what you should do or what you should
look like
look like or
act
wear, no matter what age you are.
and back to somebody like Debbie Harry and Cyndi Lauper. They're still going strong.
Sure are.
Yeah. They're not going to let somebody tell them, oh, you know what, you should be retired.
Yes. Nobody can dictate your expiration date to you.
No, I don't see an expiration date on the back of your neck. No, nothing.
I agree. I always say retirement is for those who are working, but this is their passion. It's what they love to do. And if you're doing something you love to do, why retire?
Yeah.
I think this idea of retirement it's not all that it's cracked up to be.
I know.
Because it's like you have to wake up every morning and have something to really feel passionate about, whatever it is. So, well, you could find the book Manic Panic, Living in Color, A Rebellious Guide to Hair Color and Life, wherever books are sold. You could find it at your nearest bookstore, go online, Amazon, find it at your nearest independent store. If you want to find your nearest independent bookstore, go to bookedonrock.com. And so people can find you online. I mentioned manicpanic.com. If they go there, I'm trying to recall, does that have links to all the social media sites as well on the website? I think. Or okay, yeah. So
I hope so.
Better.
yeah, because you are out there, and you just have to Google Manic Panic, and you'll find everything. Tish and Snooky, this is so great. Thank you so much for coming on and enlightening me. I don't know. I just have regular brown hair. I don't know. I feel like I should do
How'd that happen?
I should do something about that.
We can hook you up.
We can hook you up.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on. This is great.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
That's it. It's in the books.